Hello everyone and welcome back. Today we're going to enhance the reports that we've been building. We're going to enhance its interactivity by learning how to filter and slice data in Power BI. Filtering and slicing are very powerful techniques that allow you to focus on specific subsets of your data and makes your report dynamic and user friendly. In this lesson, we would cover an introduction to filters at different levels, which I think we've touched on: visual level, page level, and report level filters. We'd also learn how to apply and customize slicers, and would use visual interaction to edit how visuals respond to each other. By the end of this video, you'll be able to create interactive reports that let users explore data in meaningful ways. Before we dive into slicers, I want to point out, because we looked at formatting visuals in the last video, I want to point out that we can also format our Power BI page, the canvas itself. And how do we do that? When you click out of all the visuals, you click on the page itself, which I just did now. You have this format option here that you can click on, and there you have some format options. You have page information, so you could change the name of your page and call it, let's call it revenue dashboard. uh, Note that you can also change it from the bottom here, so you can change the page information. And we'll talk about tooltips again in later videos. You come to canvas setting and adjust the your canvas, the aspect ratio. So currently the aspect ratio is 16:9, which is like similar to your PowerPoint slides view. You could change it to 4:3 aspect ratio, so it looks something like this. You can see it's more like a square, not really a square. You could change it to a letter format. You could change it to a tooltip. We'll talk about this. You change it to a custom format where you enter the height and the width depending on what you want. I'm going to leave it as 16:9 like this. You could align it to top or middle your canvas itself. You could align it to the middle of your page. For canvas background, so if you go to canvas background, you could change the color of your background. So it's currently white. I could change it to black, for example. It's not showing because transparency is 100%. I could reduce transparency and then you can see it's black. Or I could change it to a light red, something like this, you know, and just have it look like this. Adjust transparency as I see fit. I could even bring in an image. So I could bring in an image and make it put it as the background of my I'm not going to do that because it's going to make my dashboard heavier. So I could do that. I could bring in a wallpaper too. um, I could adjust the filter pane. I could adjust the um, filter cards, and that's this pane here. So if I come to the filter pane and I change the background, for example, to yellow, you can see the filter pane changes to yellow. So I could do all that change. I don't want to do that here, but I just want you to know that there's that possibility to actually adjust your canvas and your page. So I'm going to leave it like this for now. Again, as I'm building the report, I'm also thinking of the layouts. So you see my chart is not all over the place and it's well arranged. So I want to bring in some sliders. So I'm going to move, I'm going to adjust the size of my visuals a bit. Just move them to the side a bit. And so I'm going to move this to the side a bit as well, just so I have space here for my sliders. And Let's move this to. I'll do a small change to my pie chart. You can see we can't see anything on the legend. So I'm gonna go to my general and go to, I believe it should be under effects. No. Let's see properties. No. Let's see visuals. I want to be able to. Oh, sorry. So I didn't have my. So I have a pie chart selected. So legends. I want my legends to be. I'm going to move it from center right to top center. That way it's arranged at the top. I'm going to remove the title. I don't want the title. That's this product subcategory, just so we have space. So yes, I have accessories, clothing, and bikes, and my pie or my donut chart is large enough. So yeah, I think it looks better this way. So we have this space, and what do I want to do with this space? I don't know. Before again, this is all before we go into filters and sliders. I'm gonna move my face a bit to this corner. Now, what I want to do is, again, I'm thinking design as a building. So I want to bring a shape. So Power BI allows you bring in shapes and pictures and different things to even text boxes to your visual. So I want to bring in a shape and I'm going to go to insert. I'm going to insert a rectangle. So I'm just going to bring in a rectangle and this is my rectangle. I'm just going to move it here and you get what I'm doing in a bit. So I'm just going to move it here and this is where my filters will be. Again, you don't have to follow my design. You can just, play around yourself. I advise that you actually play around with it yourself and don't follow my design. So I'm going to change the color. Of course, it doesn't match our theme. So under when I click on the shape, I can format the shape here. You can see um, if you go to style, we can change the color. I want the color to be white, and I do not want any borders on my shape. So yeah, I think that's fine. Let's see what we have. We have this. Great. I also want to put a logo. So I want a logo to be here. So I have a picture. You can use whatever picture. I have a picture that I want to use for my logo. Is I'm going to show you the picture in a bit. So I have this picture that I just downloaded from the internet, and I'm going to use it as my logo. I'm going to use it as my logo. So all I have to do is click on insert images and this is it here, fake logo. I call it fake logo. So I'm just going to bring it in and I will adjust the size sort of so I can put it here. So now I have my company logo on my dashboard and now I can start bringing in my slicers. So now I have a place to put my slicers and you can see my dashboard looks arranged, right? And that's what we're going for. You want your dashboard to be visually appealing as well as, contain correct data. So let's go back to slicers, right? So again, filters, we have filters and we have slicers. Filters allow us control which data is displayed in our visual or in our page or in an entire report by including or excluding specific values, right? So it allows us focus on relevant data. It enhances report performance by limiting data processing. So if we filter for just accessories to show, we don't have to process all the other data. It also provides users with the ability to explore data subsets. So again, we've spoken about this in the past, and we know that we have three levels of filters, right? We have visual level filters, we have page level filters, and we have report level filters. We said visual level filters, and you can see when you see filters on this visual, when you're on the visual pane, are filters that are applied to a single visual. So if I apply filter for, if I go to region and I bring in country and I drag it to this empty pane under filters on this visual. That will be only applied to this visual that I've selected, the bar chart. So if I select Australia, it only shows me for this visual that I've selected, quantity sold per product. It doesn't affect daily revenue, it doesn't affect the funnel, the column, the donut chart. It affects only the selected visual because again, we're filtering filters on this visual. If we select Canada, notice only this chart changes. If we select France, only this chart changes, and that's because it's a visual level filter. It affects only that specific visual, this visual. I'm going to clear that because I really don't want any filter on this visual. If we want to apply a page level filter, basically that filter would affect every visual on the certain page. So if we bring in let's see, continent to these filters on this page, we can select for Europe and notice that every chart is affected. We can check for North America and we see every chart is affected. We can check for Pacific and we see that every chart is affected. Right, you may not notice it on the donut chart because the changes are a bit small, but let's just try that again. If we change from Pacific to Europe, you can see it changes 27 for Europe, 99 for Pacific, 19 for Pacific, and 99 for everything. So that's a page level filter. So now I'm going to remove the page level filter, and the last we have is a filter on our page. So again, remember we created a second page in previous videos just to see how the filter affects all pages. So if we bring in let's not do revenue again, let's do age group. If we bring in age group to filter on all pages and we apply this filter for adults, you can see all the charts change, including this, which is showing 25 million for adults. If we remove that, is 51 million. So it affects every page, and that's a report level visual. So again, we've looked at visual level filters, we've looked at page level filters, and we've looked at report level filters. I'm going to remove all that filter because I do not want to apply any filter. I want to apply slicers. Let's talk about slicers. Right, so basically slicers are visual filters that allow users to interactively filter data on a report page. So they're visuals themselves because they're going to be on your report, and again, it provides an intuitive way for users to explore the data. So let's add a slicer. And where do we find this slicer? A slicer is a visual. So you see this visual, this is a slicer here. So what we can do is actually, click on slicer, and then we have a slicer in view here. And we can now bring in, so when we select slicer, we can bring in the field that we want to slice by. Right, we can bring in the field. So in this field pane here, so say we want to slice by gender, for example, we can bring gender into this field pane, and we have a slicer for gender here. We have a slicer for gender, so it's part of the visual, and I can always say for female, I can see for female, I can see for male, and see, I can just slice the data while I'm on that page. Now, we can adjust or format slicers as well. So we can go to the format option while selecting slicers. We can go to the format option and go to slicer settings. Currently, the slicer is like a vertical list. You can change that to a drop down. So if you do not want to see all the options, it could be like a drop down, and you can click on it and interactively just choose what you want. You can also change it to a tile. So basically a tile is like options, so you can just click on this for male, click on this for female. If you want to select both, you have to hold shift and click on both of them. So for mail, so but now I want to keep mine as a drop down, so I'm gonna leave it as a drop down. And for the selections, we can do, if we want only single select, we can actually add an option for select all. So if you go here, you can see select all here. We can adjust the header. So I don't want it to show customer gender, I just want it to show gender. So I'm going to remove customer, and let's reduce the size to 8 or 9. Let's do 9. That's for the header. We don't want any background. For the values, let's adjust the values. The values are too large. Let's do 8 for the values. So we don't want any border as well. So there we have our first slicer, and we can select all. We can select for female, and we have it right there. Let me make it longer a bit. So that's our first slicer. We could add other slicers as well. And there's a new slicer that Power BI just launched. Let's try that. So let's leave this gender slicer here. Let's bring in a new slicer. Let's try and play around with the new slicer. So we can add, let's use a product for this. So we can filter by product name. We're going to drag that to field, and you can see all the different products. I feel like we shouldn't use product since product is in the visual already. Let's do region. Let's do continent instead. So continent, and you can see we have 3 continents, and Europe, North America, Pacific. Let's try and filter this new slicer. Put slicer setting. We can do, we don't want to select all. For shape, it's a rectangle. We can do rounded rectangles instead. So basically this would be like buttons. So let's see how we can actually make use of this. I'm going to switch this down a bit. Let's switch this down a bit. I'm going to move this to the top. I have an idea. So for the shape, let's go to general. Let's adjust the height. I'm trying to see if we can, and let's adjust the title. The title is too large. Let's make it a 9 or a 10. For the text, for the values, let's make it a 9. And let's see if it fits now. So basically this is the new, we can add images to this filter. Not really a fan. We can add images to this filter as well. Basically it's an updated filter that has more options than the general filters. So so you can add images to the filter, add a field, add an image, etc. But yeah, that's filters for us. I'm gonna stick with the general filter. So I can copy this filter, Ctrl C and Ctrl V. And I'm copying because I don't want to apply, I don't want to start doing all this formatting again. So instead I just change what is in the filter. I'm going to put region, continents here. So, and the title is going to say continent, not headers. So continent. That is going to say continent, and I'm going to copy it and do one for, I believe there's a country. So I'm going to remove continent and I'm going to add country. And of course, the title will say country. And then let's add one more. Let's add one more. I'm going to copy this, Control C, Control V again. And this time I'm going to put dates. I want to try out something. I'm going to put dates. Where's my calendar table? I'm going to put dates there, and we are going to adjust the header to show transaction dates. Say transaction date. We're going to go to slicer settings instead of a drop down, because this is the field I have in this slicer is a date. I have more options here. Instead of using a vertical list or drop down, I can use let's say I could use relative time. And how this relative time works is I select, say I want to see for the, let me expand this a bit. I want to see for the last two, I select last 2 hours or last 2 months. I can adjust that. Why am I not saying month? If I do like, I can do last 2 minutes. Or this, why am I saying only hour and minute? Should be able to see month. Which relative, so sorry, I selected relative time, not selected relative dates. So relative dates is what I want. Say last two months, and you see everything changes for the so it's using the data is not up to 2024, right? So the data ends at 2020, so we don't have anything for 2024. So if I say last 5 years, for example, last 5 years, then I have data, because we have data from 2019 to 2020. I could do before or between. So we have the between option, and basically I can adjust that between as well. I don't want that, I don't want this slider. So basically I want to say between this date, and it brings out the calendar for me between this date and this date. So I can say between, let's do 2020, let's do 2019 January. I want to see from 2019 January 2nd to 20, let's do the 2019 March 30th, and it filters that data for me, and I can see everything. And it looks like we only sold bikes in that time period, and we sold more road bikes and um, than mountain bikes, and this is how our revenue trended, and it was just bikes. So yes, this is a date filter, this is a country filter. We can see in what continent, so you can see if all this was in Europe, maybe how many did we sell in Europe, how many did we sell in North America, how many did we sell in the Pacific, and we can see how many we have for females or males, etc. So that's basically what filtering and slicing does for the visual. So by now you must have mastered the essentials of filtering and slicing, right? And they are fundamentally creative, interactive report, like we said. So as a recap, we talked about visual level filters affects only one visual that is selected. We talked about page level filters, which affects all the visuals in a page. And we talked about report level filters, which applies to all visuals in the entire report. We also talked about slicers. They are interactive visuals that allow you filter dynamically in your reports. We talked about um, filters as well, and how we can use them. So in the coming video, we are going to look at some other visualization types and take it from there. So stay tuned. Our dashboard is looking good already. Select all. The dashboard is looking pretty good already, well organized. So see you in the next video. Thank you.